So today the Chiefs announced a handful of injured players and their statuses, saying they will not be playing in the upcoming game against Green Bay. Now, a lot of this wasn't a surprise anyway because we're not playing the starters against Green Bay anyway for the most part. This game is all about just being an exhibition for the final few roster spots. We're not going to see Mahomes, whatever. But I am wondering about your injury. What's your level of concern? Let me bring up an injury, and I'd love to get your level of concern here, right? So we've already talked about Lucas Niang. There's probably nothing more to say about that. We know he's out until October, and that's that. But Carlos Dunlap didn't play, didn't practice. Now we're hearing, there's an Achilles issue, whatever that is. Is this like a harbinger of things to come? Is this a non-serious thing that the Chiefs have a couple of weeks until the regular season, so no big deal? What's your personal level of concern about Dunlap's Achilles?
Very concerned. This is a defensive lineman in the trenches with a foot injury, and not just a foot injury, an Achilles injury. I know they're calling it tendonitis. Man, this is concerning to me. An aging player in the trenches with a foot injury like this, it's not bode well. I get it. He's more of icing on the cake, right? They weren't necessarily counting on Carlos Dunlap this season based on when they signed him, but it feels like the defensive line is much better with a proven veteran, a guy who gets about an average of 8 sacks a season on that squad. I'm very concerned about this Carlos Dunlap injury. I don't know about you, but second I hear Achilles and defensive line, that's where you push off. Not happy about it.
Yeah, I would love for the Chiefs to do everything they have to do to play it safe here. Carlos Dunlap for the postseason is the only thing that's on my mind. So if he's got to sit months to make sure he's okay, then round back out in the form and then be like a late season Melvin Ingram addition, great. But there's certainly no reason to push his involvement this early. Let me bring another one up. We talked a little bit about this already, but I didn't ask your opinion. Rashad Fenton, we already talking about the secondary. There's a groin injury there that's kept him out. Are you concerned that's going to creep to the regular season? And are you concerned about the state of cornerbacks, if so?
Good question. With Rashad Fenton himself, no, I'm not too worried. When it comes to the state of cornerback, if he were to miss, more so. I do believe in Joshua Williams. I believed in him when he was drafted. I think he's got a very high upside. But again, I'm very nervous as far as the boomer bust potential early on. He's gotten burned a few times early. I trust his ability to tackle. I like his ability to cover guys for the most part. But again, anytime you have a rookie from Fayetteville State, nothing against small schools, you just don't typically go up week in and week out against top-end competition. That's a massive jump to the NFL. Trent McDuffie, also a rookie. I trust L'Jarius Sneed, obviously. I guess I would be a little bit wary if Fenton were to miss time. I just don't think he's going to miss much, if any. I think he'll be ready week 1.
Okay. Let's go to the offensive side. Juju Smith-Schuster has been out with a knee injury a little bit longer than I thought he'd originally be. What's your take there on, do you think this is going to be a lingering thing? Do you think he'll be there week 1? Are they being just careful in the preseason?
Even for a guy with injury concerns, I'm not worried about Juju. I think this is more of a extra precautious situation in the preseason. He has already shown to have good rapport with Mahomes, at least in my opinion. I think he's going to be fine. I'm not worried about Juju Smith-Schuster. I know all those past injury concerns are probably popping up in the back of folks' domes right now, thinking, oh my gosh, is this another major situation? I just don't think it is. I know the Chiefs, they're basically like the Pentagon. They won't let you know. They're very much so keeping it tucked in-house. But I'm not worried about Juju, at least not yet.
Okay. One more for you. Blake Bell. He had hip flexor. Then Andy Reid said he went and had surgery on it. The injury has been called unusual. Jerome Bunkers even comments, little concerned about Blake Bell. Thought the Chiefs showed interest in a recent tight end release that Washington picked up, which is true. Kendall Blanton. So,
MIZ.
Just curious what you think about losing Bell. You were talking so highly about Fortson earlier. Does that even matter to you if Bell's in or out?
I think it matters more than the majority of Chiefs fans would like to admit.
Okay.
If that makes sense. Blake Bell's not this game changer, but he's a glue guy. He was, and still is when healthy, the best blocking tight end on the roster. Jody Fortson's very much improved as a blocking tight end, but he's nowhere near elite. Travis Kelce is a very good blocking tight end, but you're not using him as a blocking tight end. And Noah Gray is still very much an unknown. I think you could use Michael Burton for a game here and there if you wanted to use him as that fourth tight end in blocking situations. Good blocker, fullback, versatile. I wouldn't be surprised. But I do think it's going to be a bigger impact than a lot of Chiefs fans probably want to admit. Blake Bell's not some popular name. I know a lot of people had him on the cut list. I get it, but he's a valuable piece as a glue guy. Also, 4th and 1. If the Chiefs refuse to run QB sneaks with Mahomes, Blake Bell was that guy. Whether Chiefs fans like it or don't, that's what they did. That's also a question mark. I think they should still continue to run 4th and 1 QB sneaks with Mahomes. I think what happened was such a freak accident. I mean, Tom Brady has made an absolute career, a killing, probably has like 1,000 yards off of QB sneaks. I mean, never gotten hurt off of one. I think Mahomes it was unlucky. But if they're not going to use Mahomes, Blake Bell was that guy.
Yeah.
I mean, there's multiple situations where you're looking at and say, okay, this Blake Bell loss could be bigger than most people want to admit.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you there. I wish maybe more people gave him a little bit more credit. At the same time, I understand the Chiefs are fine at tight end. Would it surprise you if they ended up making a move to bring in another tight end at this point?
No, it wouldn't shock me. Okay. It would probably surprise me as far as that means Blake Bell's injury is that serious. Maybe he's missing 8+ games. If it's 4+ games, I'd be surprised. Maybe you roll with Bushman from Oakland, right? Or Las Vegas, sorry. You run with the former Raider Bushman, right? You can roll with him for a few games. Or again, I think Michael Burton you can get by with for a few games. But if we're talking they bring someone in and he makes the roster, that means Blake Bell's injury is a fairly serious one.
Yeah, I'm with you. It'll be interesting to see how the roster moves the Chiefs make end up telling us about Fenton's injury, JSS's injury, and Blake Bell's injury. It's going to be really kind of telling maybe what waiver claims they make, who they pick up, what extra guys they keep on the roster, etc.